Next up, we have Phillipsburg, former Phillipsburg resident, Thomas J Frey.
TJ, you look great.
Whereas, born on the 20th of May in 1980 to the late Mary Ann and Harry Frey, Thomas J Frey, better known as TJ, grew up in his childhood home located at 78 Lewis Street, here in the town of Phillipsburg. Whereas many people remember TJ as a child sitting on the steps of 85 Lewis Street next to a basketball, wearing a pair of earphones with his portable cassette player in hand, rapping aloud for all to hear. Whereas growing up in Phillipsburg was not without battle for TJ Frey. Much like others growing up during that period of time, TJ struggled with the dangerous grips of substance abuse and addiction. Whereas TJ, in true Stateliner fashion, did not surrender to his addiction, but rather successfully overcame with the love and support of his family and friends, embracing his true fighting spirit. TJ has now been clean for almost 10 years. In fact, his anniversary is August 22nd, 2019. That in its own right. TJ explains to all who ask what his mission is to help others, however, whenever, wherever, and expect nothing in return because the people that loved me unconditionally did the same for me. He is truly paying it forward. Whereas in 2001, TJ adopted the moniker Doughboy, inspired by the name that his mother had given him as a child, and embarked upon his rap music career as a fully independent hip-hop artist and recorded his very first song, What If? Whereas to date, TJ has released 3 full-length albums entitled Struggle Before Success, Where's John Doe, and Welcome to Oz. Whereas in March of 2014, TJ wrote and recorded Reality Check, a tribute to his family member and Phillipsburg police officer Robert Bobby E. Amy, who lost his battle with leukemia at age 35. Whereas on May 18, 2014, TJ teamed up with Jack 9 Films and coordinated an anti-bullying rally at 120 Fillmore Street, where over 250 Phillipsburg families and children were in attendance and participated in the filming of his song, Go Hard, which is primarily centered on taking a stance and fighting back against bullying. Whereas today, TJ is married to his beautiful wife, Jackie, and is raising his 2 beautiful children, Alexis and Thaddeus, in Nazareth, Pennsylvania, and is working in peer support for Family Guidance, where he fulfills his goal of aiding each person struggling with addiction. Whereas TJ Frey is a Phillipsburg success story. He has become a role model for our children and is living proof that there are indeed happy endings. There is a successful end to the struggle. He's humble, and he's one of the most polite and caring individuals anyone will ever come to know. Let it be known that on this day, July 2nd, 2019, the governing body of the town of Phillipsburg acknowledged the efforts of TJ Frey to overcome and continue to help others to do the same. And we also are presenting TJ with the key to the town of Phillipsburg this evening.
Yeah, I guess, right? Absolutely. Bobby kind of made me like, I guess I have a gift with words. So I wrote it down, but before I say anything, I just want to thank God, my wife and my kids, my brother, and my brother. Because without you guys, I wouldn't be here. I appreciate y'all and love y'all unconditionally. Now, for what I wrote. Key to the city, hope. May hope encourage you to follow your dreams and grab them, and never let them go. For the young kid now, sitting on the corner with his AirPods in his ears so he can block out the world as he knows. Because life on life's terms becomes the harshest of realities, and peer pressure is just looking better than his jump shot. When garnet and gray symbolizes family, blood, sweat, and tears, and it takes a village to raise this child's mentality. We're in a place where your friends become family, and you're blessed with 3 mothers instead of 1. How lucky are you? To the Colleens, the Debbies, and the Mary Anns of the world, words will never repay you or do you justice or be big enough thanks for all the sleepless nights that you guys had while raising your boys. Where do you need a community to rally around you? Where else would you go? Where that community will teach you that tough situations don't last, tough people do. The only curfew we had was the streetlights. There were no cell phones, there were no social medias, there were no distractions. I'm talking about basic human interaction. Unfortunately, this town, like every other town, has its problems. So the stigma and addiction and mental illness can now be erased. Allow these actions to show you that failure is not an option. We can sit here and we can dwell on war stories or read the paper or the Lehigh Valley Live, and if my memory serves me correctly, I believe it was called Operation State Line. But first, can we touch on the trauma just for a second, how the innocence of a child can be taken and replaced with a substance of his choosing? To the labels that go with it: junkie, fiend, crackhead, scumbag. It's hard to digest, but this is home. Shouldn't we take care of home first? And as of late, there's so much hate and slander and love that conquers all. That's what Phillipsburg is about. We should go back to that. Back to where the entire town was singing alma mater. And give a hand to the less fortunate. And let's make sure everyone in this town has just the basic living necessities. Instead of turning the addict away because they're a menace to this town, let's start providing knowledge and hope. Even if you don't have anything nice to say, offer a smile, because if someone's dying from heroin, that might just save their life. That's what P-Burg's about, right? That's what it was built on: pride, family, strength, endurance. Allow Phillipsburg to be better than what it has been portrayed. And for the record, I am that crackhead, that fiend, that junkie, that scumbag. To my family and my loved ones, thank you for loving me unconditionally and allow me to be the example that change is possible. Thank you, Phillipsburg.
Powerful. Thank you for everyone who came out this evening. That will conclude our proclamation session, so if there's anyone that wishes to leave before we get into regular business, you may do so now, or you can stay to watch the entire meeting.
Thank you. Do I get to keep this?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, appears to be over. Everyone seems to be going out. So let's do the motion for the approval of minutes, the executive minutes dated February 5th, 2019.
So moved.
Is there a second? Second. Roll call.
Councilman Davis?
Abstain.
Councilwoman DeGirolamo?
Yes.
Councilman Lutz?
Yes.
Council Vice President McVeigh?
Could you read back the current votes we have right now, please?
Councilman Davis abstained. Councilwoman DeGirolamo is a yes. Councilman Lutz is a yes.
Yes.
Council President Fulper?
Yes. Bills list?
Current fund, $2,396,359.16. State federal grants, $4,313.57. Capital fund, $11,640.70. Sewage utility fund, $741,990.19. Sewage capital fund, $87,323.39. Section 8, $3,072.04. Agency fund, $311.48. For a regular bill list of $3,245,010.53. No Section 8 rent payments. There were 2 tabled bills. The library waterproofing technology, $219,735.18. And also grant writing bill for $455. The prepaid bill list, current fund $5,000, state federal grants $42,600, for a prepaid bill list of $47,600. Grand total of all funds $512,800.71.
Thank you.
Thank you. Motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Councilman Lutz?
Nothing.
Councilman Davis?
None, thank you.
Councilwoman DeGirolamo?
None, thank you.
Council Vice President? Good, sir. I'm good as well. Roll call.
Excuse me, holding bills to include or not?
As of right now, they're still tabled, those votes.
Okay.
You're welcome.
Councilman Davis?
Yes.
Councilwoman DeGirolamo?
Yes.
Councilman Lutz?
Yes.
Council Vice President McVeigh?
Yes.
Council President Fulper?
Yes. We still do have 2 tabled bills. Vicki, can you remind me what those bills were exactly? I know one was for grant writing.
Right, for $455, and then there was the library roof work.
Okay.
80% of the roof is completed.
Okay. Does anyone wish to untable either bill?
I'll motion on table.
Both bills?
Yes.
There's a motion on the floor to untable both bills. Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Councilman Davis?
Yes.
Councilwoman DeGirolamo?
Yes.
Councilman Lutz?
No.
Council Vice President McVeigh?
No.
Council President Fulper?
No. Keep the bills tabled. This now is your portion for the public comment on agenda items. This is public comment on agenda items only.
I'm Joe Miner. I live at 392 South Main Street in Phillipsburg. I did not have time to look at the redevelopment, but I assume it will be a major part of the next meeting with much feedback. However, I did struggle through the rent control piece. I'm very much in favor of certain rent control. There is no initiating control of rent rate. 163.17. Where are you? 17. Don't tell me I put them all together nice and neat. It's got to be the same. No, it's not. 163.17, if I remember, says a new building can be, you can start anywhere with a new building. There's no initiating rent. Then we have others, initiating rent for new properties. The owner of a newly constructed housing space can basically choose his own rent. Next problem, I don't understand why 463.21 is here. It expires this whole rent control system in 3 years. I don't understand. You'll explain. I only got 5 minutes, but after I finish, please tell me that's something I must not understand. Then I'm on the investment formula. Is an annual rent by this or by 463.3 the actual contribution of the landlord at the time of closing of title and any principal payments to outstanding mortgages? Well, I paid $75,000 for my property in 1992 without any mortgage to settle at all. That was my investment. I have some questions on now what happens to it in number 2, fair trade of investment. There is a line here, single increase per year, whether the unit is occupied or not. That's from 463.5. If that is applied here, then the maximum or the fair rent on investment would be, assuming that the banks are given 0.8% maximum on savings, 6.068 times 75,000, or my base would be 51,000. But the little piece under 463.5, single increase per year whether the unit is occupied, is 3%. So that would mean that the 51,000 would have to be multiplied by compounding at 3% for 27 years to find my base, or not, based on straightening out one of my confusions there. Let me get them all out, because in 5 minutes I don't know if I can get through all of it. If you remove then if you remove in section 469.3 F, the town may rescind this section by ordinance if at any time. In this ordinance, if you rescind 463.10, I will be forced to either raise rent or lose my maximum rent, because I am operating on a lease and I've never increased my rent to my tenants since for the last 20 years. And then we have an automatically renewing lease. We're following all the rules, but I still want to be able to stick this max in here, so I don't want that there. I'm one of the few people that's not raising the rent. It gets me good tenants. Okay, and this was, I only had an hour and a half to read this, and it was a 4-hour job. I need to, by the next time it's printed, I need to hear something I can understand, something simpler. This would be a confusion for anybody, I believe, to apply. Please rework it to make it clearer to me. Now, that's a lot of questions. I hope you can do a lot of clarifying. Who wrote it?
That would be Brandon, who's no longer with the firm.
Oh,
The
dear.
day after he wrote it.
When did
He oversaw it. So I can tell you that this is modeled after the Lopakon Township Rent Leveling Board, with a few tweaks here and there for the town of Phillipsburg to accompany the fact that we have 6,000 more residents. With regard to your expiration of 3 years, we did that, and I believe that the purpose of that is that if it's not working, it's easier to take out. It expires.
To vote it out.
Right, so the governing body would then have to vote in favor of this ordinance once again. Okay? Right. I agree with you on 463-17. I think we should change it to market value as opposed to allowing them to just set their rent immediately
I
upon
agree.
purchasing buildings.
I
Or
had-
the first time they list them.
I worked on rent control about, at the very beginning of your term. Is that 3 years? 3 years, yeah. And establishing a honest first rent was worth a paragraph or two. If anybody's going to rewrite that, I would dig it out and show it to you. I didn't have time to get it out.
Well, we certainly will, and when it comes up for time for discussion, I believe Councilman Davis will also have a few recommendations as well,
I think.
and then we'll hopefully be able to clarify a little bit more for you.
Thank you.
You're very welcome, thank you.
Did I get them all answered? Does the compounding apply to that base, considering my right for, you got to look at it, okay, next week.
We'll take a look at the provision, and then, you know, I heard what you said, I heard the provision. I think I might actually agree with you on part of the, how they're establishing the formula. So I'll take it back, I'll have Rich look at it, and if there needs some tweaking, we'll tweak it and make it solid.
I use the inspection department to help with a range of base, from the base, adjusting the base based on just how fancy a place it was.
Thank you, Mr. Meyer.
It's Bill Timmon, 230 South Main Street. I'd like to comment on this, but I don't have a copy to read.
You didn't get a copy today?
No, sir.
Do you have a generic comment you'd like to make, other than you don't like it?
Well, rent control, I think, is going to hurt more than it's going to help. It's going to chase landlords out. It's going to create more issues as far as abandoned properties, because a decent landlord will rent to decent people. The problem being is if you're putting something like this in, his cost may not be able to be factored in, and he may be losing the property if the controls are improperly applied. New York City, where they have an abundance of people wanting to rent, they've had rent control for years, and a lot of these buildings are having problems because they can't meet the note because the rents are so low and the expenses are so high on a lot of their properties. I think it needs a little bit more consideration and time to work on before you bring it up as a viable source of. And again, people need to get copies to read it, to comment on it, and if they're not available.
Well, I can tell you it went out today. I know there was issues with our email system. We had to break up the agenda into 3 separate parts in order to get it out. I will tell you, as soon as we're done with the first reading, I will give you my copy to take with you, just as I took notes, and I want to be able to, when we speak on it, I want to be able to clarify. Okay? Thank you. Is there anyone else?
Dan Boyce, 24401. Concerning the treatment plant, it's really, how do I say this? Some people that use Axe body spray still smell even worse afterwards. That's not going to correct the problem. You know, we want to develop the town. The treatment plant can't hold what it has already. You want to develop the town. Cohasset and Low-Pac-Kong are developing, and they're pushing all their sewage onto Phillipsburg. Maybe it's time I